I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of June 22nd, 2016. The DC Renaissance continues. We're coming to you from my office here at Alter Ego Comics.
In beautiful downtown Lima.
Yes, comic shop in beautiful downtown Lima. On what promises to be a stormy day. Everyone is already taking cover, but don't do that. Go to your comic shop. Even fight the elements. If the postal carriers can do it, so can you. And you need to get to the new comics.
Don't put yourself in danger.
Yes. If there's a tornado, don't
you
go
know.
out. But a little bit of rain won't hurt you. Odds of getting struck by lightning are incredibly slim.
Plus, it's a great story if you survive.
Yes, you might become the Flash. Speaking of the Flash, Flash #1 is my pick of the week, written by Joshua Williamson, artwork by Carmine D. I gotta figure out how to pronounce this guy's name because I have a feeling I'm gonna be liking this book for a long time. Carmine D. Giandomenico. This is it. This is the beginning of the new Flash series. Now, Flash Rebirth #1 was a one-shot, which came out 2 weeks ago. I believe was also my pick of the week. Great stuff, but was kind of a wrap-up or a tie-in to the DC Universe Rebirth #1. This stands on its own. It's got a little bit of commentary about what happened in the DCU Rebirth title, but this is Williamson's story. This is him. He's talked about this, so I'm not really spoiling anything. Lots of people in whatever Central City, is that where he is? Keystone? Where is he?
Central City.
Central City, yes. I was drawing a blank. Keystone was the Wally West run. Are going to end up with speed powers, and one of them is going to become a killer of speedsters. So we don't know exactly when this is going to happen, but there is a lot of lightning. There's a storm coming.
Are they a killer of speedsters?
That's
or
what
a speedster who
he
is a
said.
killer?
A speedster serial killer. So
okay, I
don't
assumed
know.
they were a serial killer that had super speed. But if they're just trying to kill, okay.
And if you know anything about Joshua Williamson, he knows a thing or two about serial killers because he is the writer of the awesome Nailbiter series over at Image Comics. So this is a great story. We get some more details on the Flash's supporting cast. They've worked several elements of the TV show into the comic book, so this is perfect for those of you that are watching the Flash on TV and want to get into Flash comics. I would start with this issue right here, Flash #1. And it had an ending that I did not see coming, actually. I thought it was going to go in a different direction, and there was a twist. Flash #1, my pick of the week.
My pick of the week this week is Kurt Sutter's Lucas Stand. Who's Kurt Sutter?
I think he's the Sons of Anarchy guy. But
okay.
Like, he created Sons of Anarchy.
So it's co-written by Kurt Sutter and Caitlin Kittredge, and illustrated by Jesus Hervas. And this is the story of a guy who comes back from the military with shrapnel in his back, and he's all jacked up. And rather than being greeted as a returning hero, he has a crappy job at Walmart or at a mall, and he has to kind of do some unpleasant things with drugs and alcohol to make it through the day. And it's super awesome. It is. It's dark and heavy. But midway through, I guess I'm just going to have to pitch it.
You're going to, and that's saying it's super awesome based on that first blurb is not sufficient, because this was a contender for my pick of the week as well.
So he gets to a dark place and tries to end it all. And he fails because of some sort of intervention. Some force shows up and offers him a deal to use his skills to try and redeem the tarnished parts of his soul. And then he gets whisked way back through time to World War II, and there's demons and Nazis, and it's awesome.
Yes, this is a 6-issue miniseries. I'm really curious to see where this goes.
Because I hadn't flipped through. I had no idea.
No,
We're going to just random.
I thought it was going to be set in present day, and it was just this, typical Don on his luck guy that does bad things. But then you get demons and time travel. So, Lucas Stand, 2 thumbs up.
Yes.
From Team AEC. I was going to cough there, but okay. Aquaman #1 is also out this week. This is by Dan Abnett with Brad Walker on art duties, and I actually enjoyed this more than I enjoyed the Rebirth one-shot. The Aquaman Rebirth one-shot. So this sets the stage or leaps off from some of the concepts and ideas from that first issue, where Aquaman has developed basically a presence for Atlantis on dry land, which is kind of like an embassy. It is an embassy. So they're opening the embassy. They're inviting people from all over the world to come and eat their food and interact with Aquaman and Mera and all the people of Atlantis, and a chance for the Atlanteans to find out what it's like for surface dwellers and vice versa. And it goes horribly wrong thanks to the intervention of Black Manta. Really, really enjoyed this. Walker's artwork is really top notch. I dug it big time. So, Aquaman, another winner from DC Rebirth.
Yeah, Abnett did a great job with the minor characters in there.
Oh yeah, there's a great exchange between a Royal Navy lieutenant, a young Royal Navy lieutenant, and one of Aquaman's Royal Guards in here. Just really good.
Over on the Marvel side, we've got Sam Wilson, Captain America number 10, written by Nick Spencer with art by Angel Unzueta. And this is essentially the fallout from, I guess we have to spoil it at this point, it's been a couple weeks.
It's been a month.
It's been a month, okay. So well, technically it's Civil War Zero, so it's, yeah. So over in Civil War, the first casualty we've seen is James Rhodes, War Machine. Thanos puts either his fist or an energy blast, or maybe both, right through him, and he all dead. And we've seen a lot of character emotional fallout, but this is sort of the public fallout. We get to see the funeral, both the public funeral and a kind of private ceremony. We get to see lots of Marvel characters coming together and kind of talking about it, and basically fighting over who doesn't have to do the eulogy, like who wants to go out and try and eulogize a hero like Jim Rhodes. And obviously, because it's his book, it falls to Captain America, Sam Wilson, and it's really, really good. Spencer nailed all the different voices, because you've got a lot of identifiable characters, but each one is identifiable by themselves, by the way they talk and speak and think. And it's just great. It was an excellent send-off to a character that I'm not a huge War Machine fan, but by the end of this, I was getting a little emotional. Like, he did an awesome job.
Again, that would have been in my stack if it wasn't in Josh's stack. The eulogy is great, and I thought back to when I first started reading comics. Those of you that have been watching this for a while may have heard me tell this story before, but the series that got me into comics was Marvel Superhero Secret Wars, and in that series, Jim Rhodes is Iron Man, and he gets transported along with the rest of the heroes and villains to the Beyonders battle world. And nobody knows that it's not Tony in the armor. Or actually, at that point, Tony's identity is still secret, or Iron Man's identity is still secret. And there's a scene where Iron Man takes off one of his gauntlets, and you see that he has black skin, and there's actually a comment in Secret Wars that, hey, I never thought that there was a black guy under there. I don't remember who says it. It might have been worded a little more politically correctly than the way I just put it. But so I've grown up reading comics with Jim Rhodes in it. So I thought the eulogy was great. I also thought it was great, and I didn't really get it we saw a preview of this several weeks ago, where basically all of Marvel's black characters were together in a room, and I was kind of scratching my head going, I don't understand what's happening. They were talking about family. And I'm like, what's going on? But they expound on that, and that was a scene from this issue. And I think it was Luke Cage who said that, Rhodes wanted to show, or no, Luke felt like all of the African American or just black characters, because T'Challa's in there and he's not an African American, he's a flat out African, need to show solidarity and need to be there to support the black community. And that's the way I read it in there. And it was just really, Spencer has done a really decent job, I think, over the years of his writing of talking about political issues and talking about current events. I just kind of marveled at his storytelling prowess in this one. We've talked about Nick Spencer before with Astonishing Ant-Man and Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Really, I think he's an underrated writer. I think when people talk about the best writers in comics, for one reason or another, Nick Spencer doesn't get mentioned, and I think he really deserves to be. That was a lot. That was my eulogy. He's not done. Sorry. Next up for me is Detective Comics number 935, the second issue of the Detective Rebirth saga, written by James Tynion IV, artwork by Eddie Barrows. Loving the Barrows artwork on here. We get to see the Bat crew that's being trained by Batwoman, which would be Red Robin and Spoiler and Orphan and Clayface. And am I forgetting somebody?
I don't think so. Not on the main team.
Being trained, and they're basically saying, put me in, coach, I'm ready to play. And Batman is keeping them on the sidelines because he's really freaked out by what they may be going up against. Some great moments between Tim Drake and Bruce Wayne in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Really good stuff. Great moments between Stephanie Brown and Tim Drake in this one. Just really continuation of the greatness from the previous issue. Really, really good.
Next up, we've got Totally Awesome Hulk number 7, written by Greg Pak, drawn by the always awesome Alan Davis. And do not let the title fool you. There is very little totally awesome in this Hulk. It is almost exclusively about Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and where he's at and what he's doing. And if you're reading Civil War, you know that is important stuff. And yeah, it was great. Greg Pak wrote the Hulk for a long time. And I always liked the way he wrote Banner, and this is no exception. We find out what Bruce has been up to, where he's at, why he's not the Hulk, why Amadeus is the Hulk. We see some cool moments with him and Tony, presumably setting up the Civil War stuff, and yeah, it was great. It was very much like, because at this point, Banner's not the Hulk. Cho is the Hulk, and he's sort of finally absorbing the fact that that's happening, and he's doing all of the things that he would want to do. See his reaction to things that you or I would do every day that he could never do because the danger involved in being the Hulk. So.
That's why he looks so happy on there.
Right? He's just...
I'm free!
Running out of the Hulk's crotch.
The final issue of the New 52 Justice League is out this week, although it's not really considered New 52 anymore. Justice League 52, written by the current writer of Action Comics, Dan Jurgens, artwork by Tom Grummett. And this takes place, they make a point of telling you on the first page, it takes place before Action Comics 957, so before the relaunch of Action Comics. Lex Luthor has his super suit with the big S shield on there, and he wants dead Superman's cape at all costs, and you get some interaction between members of the Justice League and Lex. You get a lot of inner monologue from Lex here, dealing with his sister being in a coma and how that all came to be, and that happened in Justice League. So if you've been reading Justice League for a while, there's no reason to skip this issue. But if you are reading Action Comics, you probably want to pick this up as well, because it does tie directly in with what's going on over there.
Yeah, his sister's kind of like Aunt May. There's always been something wrong with her, like, forever. I don't even remember which individual thing caused it.
Did she make wheat cakes?
Yes. You can go ahead, since that's
all right, and speaking of Action Comics, Action 958 is out this week. We had lots of questions at the end of the previous issue, and many of those are still not answered as we go through this issue, which is fine. That keeps you coming back for more. The pre-New 52 Superman is the Superman of this series. He is fighting what appears to be the Doomsday from his timeline, his planet, his universe. We also get a mysterious Clark Kent figure on the scene who appears to not have superpowers. Lex Luthor is there as well, and you get Lex and Superman teaming up to fight Doomsday whilst being, kind of angry at each other at the same time. You get Superman's son John watching this all play out on TV with his mom Lois and chomping at the bit to go help his father. Jurgens is writing, I think, some of the best stuff that he's ever written. I mean, he's been a writer in comics for a long time, started as a penciler, but was heavily involved in the Death of Superman storyline from the early 90s. So that's probably why this is reading so well, because it's familiar territory. It makes you feel good, like, chocolate or burritos. I don't know. So
Doomsday, like chocolate for your soul.
Yes. Action Comics continues again. I have not read a bad DC Rebirth title yet.
And I really like what they're doing with Lex. He's still Lex Luthor, but, they set up in the John's Justice League run that he was working with the Justice League, and this Superman, however, wasn't that Superman.
Right.
So they still have some contentious stuff, and it's just, I don't know, I like it. I like it when villains are sort of hero-y, maybe. Nobody really believes Lex Luthor's a hero, but...
He's been at this for a long time.
Yeah, a while at this point in the comic, yeah. Next up, we've got Miss Marvel number 8, written by G. Willow Wilson, with arts by Takeshi Miyazawa and Adrian Alfana, who is the regular penciler on the series, I believe.
They alternate, actually, those two.
Oh, do they?
Yep.
Okay, because the one pages look weird. So, Civil War is all about ideas, and it turns out old people don't like to change their mind. So some of the most interesting Civil War stories are finding out which way the young people will go. And Ms. Marvel's especially interesting because she basically worships Carol Danvers. So to see how she reacts to the philosophical arguments, to see which side she takes, and then to see, because they're kids, they're much more mutable, they're much more changeable. You know, if Tony Stark goes out and says, I'm going to do X, he's probably not going to change his mind by the end of the book. But the kids are more open to the world. They kind of evaluate things. They can be influenced by their friends and family. And that's exactly what we see. We see Miss Marvel signing up with Carol and maybe kind of examining the philosophy behind all the things going on in her world as part of Civil War. And like every issue of Miss Marvel, it was great.
One of the best series at Marvel right now.
No
More
question.
of you should be reading it. The last DC Universe Rebirth title this week is Wonder Woman #1. This is the beginning of the ongoing series, written by Greg Rucka, artwork by Liam Sharp, who we haven't seen in comics for many, many years. Those of you that remember Death's Head from the late 80s, early 90s, Liam Sharp was, I believe, the creator of Death's Head. So we got a preview of what was to come in the Wonder Woman Rebirth one-shot 2 weeks ago. Now we get basically Wonder Woman trying to figure out what is going on with her existence and why are her memories gelling. She's got certain things that she remembers one way and then things she remembers another way, and she really doesn't know what's going on, and she's looking for some assistance, and she turns to, I guess I don't want to spoil it because it's on the last page of the book.
And it's also interwoven with a story about Etta Candy.
Etta Candy,
Who I didn't realize was working for Argus or somebody.
I don't remember that character at all.
Oh, she's... Well,
I know she's a longtime Wonder Woman cast member.
Yeah, well, traditionally she's also looked different. She's an African American woman in this, and she was not in.
At first, I thought it was
original
Amanda
version.
Waller, but
Right, because they couldn't have built the same.
Yeah.
And Steve Trevor, obviously.
Yes, and the storyline with Steve is really cool.
Yeah.
Sharp's artwork is top notch. I mean, it makes the book. It's a great compliment to Rucka's writing on this. So definitely pick it up. If you're a Wonder Woman fan, you can't miss this one. If you're looking to get into a Wonder Woman series, this is a great one to start with. And just a reminder that every other issue, I should say the odd number issues will be written by Rucka with artwork by Sharp and take place in present day. The even numbered issues will also be written by Greg Rucka, but artwork by Nicola Scott, and they'll be telling kind of a Wonder Woman Year 1 story. So when you pick up issue 2, don't be thrown off like I don't remember what happened before, because they're alternating. But that means we get a double dose of Wonder Woman every month written by Greg Rucka, which is completely awesome. Yay, Rebirth!
That was the time on Alter Ego Comics TV when I shout at the wind. Black Road #3 was awesome, as the previous issues had been. I really, really like Brian Wood's trust of the artist. You know, there are a lot of sequences in here where there's very sparse dialogue, but the art conveys everything really well. Still good. There's one person who's not me in Lima reading this, so...
Slow clap.
I'm fine. But I told you about that so that I could tell you about this. Northlanders, Volume 1. I don't know if they're distinguishing between this, but this is not the original Northlanders Volume 1. The original one was a 6-issue trade. This is issues 1 through 16, plus 18 and 19, plus 41. So 20 issues of awesome Vertigo comics for the low price of $29.99. This is really, really good. Northlanders was sort of an episodic Viking epic written by Brian Wood a number of years ago. We got a pull quote from Brian K. Vaughan. Brian Quavon. He's an alien from the planet Knocknall. On the cover, you may remember him as writer of Saga and Why the Last Man. Pretty much everything I have ever wanted a comic book to be. Don't take my word for it. Take Brian Vaughan's word for it. Northlanders.
Also this week, you know what? We talked about a lot of DC books this week.
We really did.
Also out from DC, the new softcover edition of DC, The New Frontier, with words and art by Darwyn Cooke. And sadly, we lost Darwyn Cooke about a month ago to a very fast-acting cancer. This is stellar. This is a must-own as far as I'm concerned for comics fans everywhere. Whether you're a DC fan, Marvel fan, if you're a fan of good comics, you have to have this in your collection. So this is the original series, which was, I don't even remember, it was a 6-issue miniseries, but it was prestige format, so they were larger issues. Plus over 50 pages of designs, sketches, artwork, commentary, all kinds of awesome stuff. You need to have this. And again, it's a very reasonably priced trade, $34.99 for this monster tome. Pick it up, take it to the beach with you this summer, read it somewhere. Read it every year.
And what is the blurb? What's it about?
The New Frontier is basically Darwyn reimagining the birth of superheroes, so to speak, playing off of John Kennedy's famous speech where he mentioned space as being the new frontier. And space does factor into this in a number of ways. You've got pull quotes from the New York Times and Publishers Weekly and IGN.com, and basically everyone alive loves this thing. Even people are dead love this thing. It's so awesome. They also made a DC animated movie, which is very faithful to the source material. I actually, when Darwyn Cooke passed away, I watched that with a couple of my kids, and they really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. Super cool.
Yeah, great book.
It's kind of considered a little bit of an Elseworld story because the way that the heroes get together is not the way that they classically have in DC Comics. But man, this is so good. I have the hardcover, and I almost want this one too, just because I think this one is a little
easier to actually
read.
Easier
to hold and read. The hardcover is very heavy. Anyway, man, it is just an awesome time. You know what? There are a lot of people complaining about different things in comics, whether it's having events or the stopping of numbering, or I don't know, the whole rebirth thing. Some people, it's just rubbing them the wrong way. Just put those aside and enjoy comics for what they are. Just amazing stories with incredible artwork, a chance to escape all of the garbage that's going on in our world today. And if you look at it that way, it is a great time to be a comics fan. So we hope to see you soon here at Alter Ego, or hit your local comic shop and pick up any of the things that we recommended this week, or even stuff that we didn't recommend. Talk to the shopkeepers there and see what they recommend. Just all kinds of awesome stuff. Thank you. As always, we do sincerely appreciate you watching. If you like the show, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and hit the subscribe button so that you're kept up to date on when we add new stuff to YouTube. And I don't know what's going to happen next week. Fair warning, I'm going to be on vacation next week. And you know what's killing me about that?
What's that?
I think Civil War 3 comes out. Civil War 2, 3 comes out next week. And I'm not going to be able to get it because I'm going to be in the middle of nowhere. I may not even be able to download it just because there may not be a signal for me to do anything. So I'm going to have to embargo the internet until I get back. So I'm going to be on vacation next week. Josh, it's going to be a roll of the dice. Josh may fly solo. He may draft somebody else into the mix. There may be no episode next week, so don't be too angry. Or I may Skype in with no signal. I may send a homing pigeon or a carrier pigeon with my picks to Josh so that he can... my owl...
Hedwig?
Is it Hedwig?
Hedwig?
Hedwig, there you go. Yes. I'm just really making stuff up now. But, so, hopefully someone will be back next week. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a great week. Or 2.
Week.
Bye.